Welcome to another episode of the Big Boys Podcast. Do you enjoy good food? Do you also enjoy avoiding federal prison? Well, you're in luck. This week, I explain the merits of gas station tacos, and we have a rather intellectual conversation about paying taxes. Listen and you might just learn something. This week on Big Boys.
Prepare to be mesmerized and or mortified.
Well, what's happening there?
Old Sorrel's here. Had himself from that.
You son of a...
Yeah, clever. Kind of soft and only like in one ear.
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
Look at those boys, ain't they
Big Boys with Brian Hickey and John the Great. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Big Boys Podcast. I am your host, Brian Hickey. With me, as always, is my cohort in all things podcasting, the man, the myth, the legend, Sir John the Great. In this episode, we're going to be discussing dating apps. Is it more important to come across as a cool, slick individual, or to be upfront and tell the truth? Is that cooler? I guess we'll find out. Also, once that topic inevitably gets run on the ground, we'll probably look at some Google Trends and YouTube Trends and discuss some of that, and whatever else our ADHD-riddled brains come up with. But before we get to any of that, first things first. Johnny, what's new with you? What is new with that junk of yours?
Nothing really. I'm off work this weekend, so that's nice.
Oh, yeah? Did you get that off for like a special occasion, or just kind of happenstance?
No, it just kind of happened. So I'm like part of a rotation, so this is my weekend off.
Well, that's nice, man. Any big plans?
Nope.
Johnny, this is
I tried a new taco place.
Hey, all right. Now we're reaching out. What's the new taco joint?
Oh, it's a place down the road. Been meaning to try it for a while. It was not bad. Fairly priced.
Wow, that is riveting.
Pretty tasty. There's quite a number of taco places around here. I've noticed that. Live in just, I guess, close proximity to a number of good places. And I'm not talking like Taco Bell, all that. Although those are enjoyable too.
Not you, man.
I'm talking about the real deal.
That's right. The real corporate chain sit-down restaurants.
These are like all one-offs. The people running the place barely speak any English, so you know they're going to be good.
I tell you, yeah, it's authentic, man.
Yeah,
it's and generally for a good time.
Generally the only honky in the joint, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah. Just generally thinking of the landscape as I lived there for a year when you first moved there with me and old Chrissy Taylor. I just remember most of the restaurants in that area it's it's a suburb. It's a lot of corporate chains, but nice.
Well, there's plenty of those around too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But it's nice you found yourself a nice little hole in the wall, little secret spot.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
A tip from my life experience for our viewers out there, if anyone is interested, and perhaps they've noticed this themselves, don't shy away from restaurants located in gas stations.
I know exactly which one you're talking about, too. Yeah. I mean, when there's like a famous one in the Dallas area that has just got bomb tacos, man. And I can't even blow up their spot because I can't think of the name, but I believe it's in a Texaco, if I'm not mistaken. And there might be more than one particular taco joint that.
I think there's a few, but I'm aware of like a burger place inside of a gas station. That's awesome, as well as like a taco place. I don't know. It just seems like it's happened enough times in my life that Now I'm not talking like gas station food. This has to be
No.
a
They have like a
standalone
taco
restaurant,
stand,
but
yeah.
it's just inside the gas station.
Yeah, whereas like some gas stations will have like a little mini Subway or something on the side or whatever.
Yeah,
Basically,
yeah.
that little area there is just a taco stand, and it's the
Mhm.
shit. Gotta love them, man.
Yeah,
Gotta love those Hispanics.
Yeah.
They know how to cook.
they really do.
Yeah, man, for sure. Out here in LA, there's not as many taco joints, but I will say the ones that if you find a decent one out here, man, it's good. I used to go to this place down the street. I used to just walk down there, and the name escapes me, and I probably shouldn't say because I don't want to just give away my location, most likely. But man, they have some bomb, delicious sauces, but they were even their mildest was a level of spice that this Caucasian intestines could not handle. It seeped right through me, if you catch my drift.
Oh yeah, that'll happen.
So, yeah. I had
But
to
it's one of
eventually
those
just-
things that
yeah.
I still can't stop. Like tomorrow, there's a good chance tomorrow morning because I had a significant amount of spicy sauce with this, and I'm gonna be hitting the bathroom. But
Right on.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, just at a certain point, though, you gotta like, unless that's your activity for the day is to do that, and then be near a restroom for the rest of the day. Like, eventually, you have to accept your fate. Like, I can't handle them. The rest of the food's still good. I just I gotta skip on the sauce.
I guess it's just I don't learn so easily. I guess that's
Yeah. You and me both, buddy. We're the type to bang our heads against the wall and learn the hard way from experience, which is sort of like my dating life. With stories like these, it's a wonder that I'm perpetually single. I was just thinking about the last episode, and honestly, how you kind of made me feel a little bit self-conscious about just sharing, part of my life with the world. I'm okay with putting that stuff out there generally, for everyone to see, until I remember that there are very beautiful women in the world, John.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a blue moon, one of them will show vague interest in me, and I'm like, dear God, I have to scrub the internet right now.
Oh, okay. See, that's where our lives are different because none of them ever show any interest in me. So I just don't worry about it anymore.
Well, buddy, it's I don't think you really put yourself out there as much though either, John, to be honest. I think and I don't really hop, like, I go periodically like months without going on these dating apps, and then try it out for like a month, and then ultimately get too depressed by either just finding out how vain everyone is, and or
That's what I'm saying. The internet's
Go ahead.
good for a lot of things, but it's also been terrible for a lot of things too. And I
for
think
sure.
dating apps are one of those things that have just been a blight on society. They've ruined dating culture, or at least played a large part of it. I'm not going to say it's only them, but
No, and
don't-
it's still, regardless. I would think if you want to find some, like, I'm not just trying to find a gal to hook up with, all right? I could find plenty of women with daddy issues with my rap sheet and everything, and be just fine. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to, I'm trying to find a partner, if you will, and
you hear that,
You know.
ladies?
yeah, and most grown ass women don't look at my situation like, yikes.
Yeah.
And who could fault them? I get it. But where was I going with that? Or yeah, I guess eventually you do go on a date or two or three or whatever, and then you're like, oh fuck, this is we're not really clicking. So it's further, it's longer distance than I thought, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Or in my case, what I was getting to in the, is it more important to be, to come across as the suave, debonair man, or honest and upfront. Um, you know, very unlikely that I'll ever reach the swab debonair thing. So I generally try to be honest uh, with my situation, and these ladies, when I start courting them like I'm from the 19th century, um, you know, I gotta. I feel like I don't. It's not like usually a first date thing, but eventually I gotta be like, hey, by the way, I'm on probation. I don't drink.
See, that's what I was gonna say. I don't think that's a first date thing. Like I think,
No, no, no.
it's good to be honest and upfront, but I think you can also reveal a little too much, a little too soon.
Yeah. I mean, it gets a little tricky sometimes when it's like, yeah, again, you usually don't want it to be a first date thing, but then also you don't want to come across like you're avoiding it or hiding something,
Yeah.
because I'm not, I'm okay with who I am, and my journey through life. Has it been perfect? No. Has it been exciting? As my father would suggest? Absolutely. Um, you know, uh, so it's been a thrill ride. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the thriller. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
it's all the component. My life is all the components, minus the sexual abuse of being with Michael Jackson. I'm sure he's
Did you get
at
hung
some
over a
point.
balcony as an infant?
I don't believe so.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
if
Right.
I did, my parents were dignified enough to be like, all right, let's bury that shit. Never.
I mean, I
let
guess
it
you could
go."
count that as physical abuse as well. It's just of a different nature. But yeah.
No, I mean, honestly, dude, this is where my two selves, I guess, often are at odds with each other because I feel like I should have to explain the jokes or whatever. Like I don't have any ill will towards anybody, and but like feel bad about making fun of Michael Jackson because there's definitely parts of him that suggest like a lot of messed up stuff going on in his head. But then also, he's a public figure. He's in the zeitgeist. He's inescapable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think funny's funny. I mean, there's a certain
Exactly.
line between
Well,
if you're just talking
except
bad, but
yeah.
I mean, you could literally Google what I'm talking about and find pictures where he like hung
Oh, I've
his
seen it.
child
Yeah.
over the balcony for like the paparazzi or whatever.
Yeah. And even the paparazzi started screaming like, "Oh my god!" Like that's how
Yeah, exactly.
dangerous of a scenario it was. Yeah. And I guess he just got done watching The Lion King and got inspired.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's kind of what I've been dealing with.
What year was that?
What, The Lion King or
No,
when
The
Michael
Lion
Jackson
King was 94.
all of his kids are adults now, so it had to be early 2000s at the latest. Because I also just saw something in the on YouTube, and I don't know what rabbit hole I was going down, but ended up seeing something news related that Michael Jackson's kids are no longer receiving money from his estate.
Okay.
And I don't know what the logistics of that are. I guess, because he owed so much money, I guess, in back taxes. But then also he owned a lot of shit. Like he had, I believe, he had the rights to the Beatles, for starters. That's bank right there. And then I want to say Eminem too, and like a couple other artists, to their music. And I'm not sure. I mean, I could also be misquoting that. I saw this on YouTube, so don't look at me like I'm a news source, people. If he did have those things, I would assume that there must have been like some kind of legal battles to get the rights back from that. Because I remember roughly after he died, that is around the time that the Beatles started showing up on iTunes and stuff like that. I remember that being a big deal.
Wow, his mother is still alive? Goodness.
Yeah, I mean, at the time I didn't think it was that young, but as we grow older and withering. I think he only was like 50 or something when he died.
Yeah, it says Michael Jackson's kids and mom blocked from getting money from trust until estate and IRS settle a dispute.
Yeah, so what is
Once again, it's the IRS.
yeah, the people you don't want to fuck with at all, ever.
Yeah.
Um,
They're just criminal, in my opinion. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
absolutely. I mean, they eviscerated Wesley Snipes' career.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, all you had to do was let the guy just be in like, I don't know, 3 blockbusters that year, and you would have got all your money back. But instead, you have to send him to prison, and then
Yeah,
of course
that's
he's
another
got that
thing.
stain.
That's a very good point. When you have somebody with a career like that, like, you know, okay, obviously you didn't know his taxes. We could debate about our opinions on taxes, but the point is he didn't know them. Yeah, why not force him to just pay that back? I could understand, if you don't have the money right now, well, I don't know, maybe they gave him that opportunity. You got X amount of time to pay it back.
Maybe,
He didn't
man.
pay
I
it
don't know.
back. I don't know. Yeah.
Here's the only thing I could speculate, other than just being blatant racism, is did he commit something fraudulent? But like at the same time, being an actor / artist or whatever who's not great with money, and seeing that happen with like a number of people in this field of like, yeah, it's usually leave that up to the accountants to take care of that, right? So like, how much is like, especially when it's Wesley Snipes and he's making large sums of money. Like, I doubt he had any real direct involvement with like, oh, let's make sure we don't give the IRS a dime or whatever. It's probably just letting his tax guy do his thing, and then he's getting the shit end of the stick.
It says it was for willful failure to file federal income tax returns, so basically tax evasion.
See, that's kind of horseshit right there. Yeah, I think that's fucked up because then
Yeah.
like you have guys that, like I just said, I'm not gonna name names, but like maybe it's a little bit different. I'll say this one, like like Nick Cage. Well, I guess he declared bankruptcy, so that's different. So it's not.
Yeah.
But like if Wesley Snipes did that, I'm sure they would have been like, oh, we can't. Like the legal system is such horseshit sometimes, dude.
Oh, it totally is. Like prison time for not allowing them to extort money from you by force. Like that's kind of ridiculous. And
again, yeah, if they really wanted that money, let him get his ass back to work.
Yeah.
Don't send him away for X number of time. Like you could have, like the whole time he was in prison, he could have done like 4 movies and gotten their fucking, all their money and then some with interest.
then again, I don't know the details. Maybe they did give him a certain date to pay it back, and he didn't do it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I guess that's what they're saying, but like, I don't know if it was like, extension after extension after extension, and he's just giving them the middle finger. But I don't know, man. It's hard for me to imagine somebody willfully doing that who does not have like, a criminal background and is just blatantly stupid to just be like, if they're aware that, they can go to prison for something like that, generally that's the thing that will, make them pay, like anyone, so I don't know. I just feel like, it was very short-sighted on the IRS in that one. Shots fired in a different direction. Don't ever come after me, please. I pay my taxes and then some. You guys are literally siphoning money from me every month. Enough already.
Yeah. And it's ridiculous. They consider quite literally income. Anything. Like you find $10 on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's income.
Yeah.
Now, here's something I didn't think about. Somebody else asked this question on Reddit like 8 years ago. But what happened to Wesley Snipes? And I didn't think about this part, but it does say that when he was charged with tax evasion, that means he lost his passport. So that means he's locked into U.S.-only productions.
I wonder if he was able to legally fight that, though. Because is it a Is it a felony charge? Is that why it's that?
Yeah, that would be a federal charge, federal tax evasion.
I understand, but like you can appeal to have that removed. Like yours truly, after I'm, God willing,
From what I
off
said
my
earlier,
probation,
it
you
said,
know, I should be able to appeal that.
yeah, no, I haven't dived super deep into this, but it said he had an unsuccessful appeal.
Damn, dude.
And this is something else too to consider. Is I guess on some of the Blade movies, he got a reputation of being difficult to work with. So I imagine
Wasn't that around the time that he was getting ready to go to prison though? Like I can't imagine why.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
mean,
When did Blade 3 come out? Because I think this was before. I don't know when he actually went in.
I know.
But I want to say it was around like 2009 or something when he was going in for, for taxes and stuff.
I think it was actually earlier than that, or maybe he did go then, because I just remember around that time, just seeing whenever Blade Trinity or Blade 3 came out was 2004 or something like that, and then he had blockbuster films, and then it was only like a matter of like a couple years later, then it was just DVD instant release, 8 films back to back, like what are these, and like certainly not the same level of production and all that.
Yeah, it says he was convicted and sentenced in 2008, and then lost his appeal, and in December 2010 was jailed.
Damn.
Man, that's crazy though. Like,
yeah.
At the same time, my opinion about taxes and the IRS and all that withstanding, it does blow my mind. A lot of these people that make tons of money like this, how many of them wind up into tax trouble? And it's like, you do not need that heat from the IRS. Like, just pay them. Or, of course, sometimes I wonder too how many times they have like accountants that screw them over.
That's kind of what I'm thinking usually. I mean, again, yeah, most people don't actively want to go to prison. And these dudes are artists, you know what I mean? Like they're not making all this money and like, let me, they know exactly what profitable business they're going to invest in and what, Roth IRA, you're like, no, any of that shit. It's just, you trust that, either your representatives know of a trustworthy accountant, or somebody else in the business has an accountant that they say you can trust, and you pray to God they don't fuck you over. I mean, if you're, somewhat financially savvy, dare I say, like you could check over, your portfolio at the end of the year, but still, I'm sure, like if someone's, a solid con artist, they could probably still hide that shit really good. I mean, look how long Bernie Madoff got off with that shit.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. Of course, I feel like you would have some case in court, at that point to be like, whoa, my accountant was handling all that. Of course, maybe they're like, I don't know, it's still your responsibility. I mean, I can understand then the IRS coming back and saying, well, it still has to be paid. But like, whoa, because it says here he was convicted for willful failure. So if your accountant was just an idiot and you were like, whoa, he was handling everything, he assured me everything was fine, I don't know how that could be willful.
I mean, again, it could always be lost in the paperwork, right? Like, he's just blindly signing whatever his accountant sends him. Well, I have no idea. Obviously, this is all speculation at this point.
Yeah, I'm just speaking,
But I mean, the guy had a lot on his plate. He was killing vampires, throughout almost a solid 2 decades, and now you throw taxes, on him, and anyway, our hearts go out to Wesley Snipes.
I really think the IRS targets people like that too, and when they get behind, they don't just let them know and make them pay it back. I think they specifically let that build up a while, because then they can get so much more, because then there's fees and interest and other stuff like that. Like, I want to say
Okay,
Willie
man.
Nelson got into tax trouble in like the 80s or 90s. And I know that there's stories about it. He had to sell stuff off, and I think they had an auction, and I think some people actually bought his stuff to give back to him once it was
Wow.
done. But still, I want to say from a quick Google search here, it said like $16 million debt, 10 million of which was interest. Like, that's insane.
That is nuts, man. We're still talking about Wesley, or are we talking about
That's
Willie?
Willie Nelson.
Yeah, Jesus, man. And that's in the 80s?
I thought it was the 90s.
80s or 90s? Still,
But
you know.
yeah, because
inflation.
he put out an album in 91 called The IRS Tapes, Who'll Buy My Memories.
Oh, man. Willie Nelson. Man is awesome. Always
But
has
that,
been, always
that
will
brings up
be.
your point exactly. Like, had he been jailed, he wouldn't have been able to put out that album to help pay his tax debt. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's the part that's going to always confound me about Wesley Snipes. People can gossip about how he was a dick on set all day. That isn't, that doesn't constitute sending the man to prison for, something that he could easily make up for. And he still, pretty sure it's not like he just went to prison and then like, oh, you don't have to pay anything now. I'm pretty sure he still had to pay back.
oh yeah,
Did
they're
he
not
not?
just going to let
Yeah.
a $15 million, or however much it was for Wesley Snipes. They're not just going to be like, well, he did his time. No, they want that money.
Yeah.
Now, here we
Easy,
go.
man.
Back with Willie Nelson. He did get screwed by his accountants. It says it was later discovered that his accountants, Price Waterhouse, had not been paying his taxes for years. Man, I would be so mad. I'd be like, look, I pay you guys probably handsomely to deal with this.
Yeah.
Now here I
It's,
am with the IRS on my back.
I believe it was Socrates who said, more money, more problems.
For real.
And
I mean, that's true.
we all know that guy can sling some ducats. It's, yeah. Here I am complaining about being impossibly broke every day, but ain't nobody trying to send me to prison over that.
Yeah. I've thought about that. If I were to ever somehow come into a lot of money, like let's say the lottery, say, oh my gosh, that's the first thing I would want to take care of is taxes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure, dude. But again, in the same scenario here, I would probably just look to, my connections in the business and hope that nobody is going to try to fuck me over. Like I'd probably, talk to Joel, see who's his tax guy is. I mean, there's an executive producer on a movie that I worked on a while ago. He's a, entertainment lawyer. He probably has some decent connects. Like I have, but it's all just built on trust, of like
Yeah.
I have, previous relationships with these people. That's that, it's basically all I got, but at the same time, that's not 100% guarantee.
See, I've thought of that too. And I've thought if I ever came into a bunch of money like that, I would try and find somebody who's already in the business of dealing with, see, and you could probably find that where you're at for sure. Somebody who's already used to dealing with like high end, high investment
Right.
clients.
I just always worry that my luck is I'm going to be the one. They're going to there's the dunce I've been waiting for to take advantage of.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, this guy's not a businessman or whatever. He was broke yesterday. So it's like, okay, we're definitely going to be able to take advantage of this dude. That kind of thing will happen. You got to be careful.
Oh yeah. That's like, again, wishful thinking that we even get to that place one day, God willing.
Yeah.
And like if I have to, get a high profile accountant, like I'm going in there with a portfolio, even if it's just blank pages inside of it, just so I look like I do some homework or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not just, somebody you could just easily take advantage of. I'll at least try to look the part.
The hard part is getting everything like put somewhere and set up. After that, you're kind of just maintaining,
What do you mean?
like getting it invested into certain things and put into certain
yeah.
accounts. And
Well, yeah, that's the other issue. Like you got like, Kevin Bacon and whoever his famous wife is that escapes me right now. They were one of the I don't, God knows how many people that invested with Madoff. And they lost like everything.
Yeah.
When that went down. Of course, they're both television and movie stars, so they bounce back pretty quickly. But This episode of Big Boys is brought to you in part by Obvious Frozen Dinners. Hey folks, do you ever find yourself alone, sad, and too damn lazy to cook a meal for one? Well, John and I have discovered the perfect solution to sustaining our pathetic, lonely lives. Obvious Frozen Dinners.
That's right, Brian. Why spend an hour in the kitchen pretending we have anyone to impress when we can shove an obvious frozen dinner in the microwave and get back to binge watching the same shows we've been mindlessly doing for the past 20 years?
Exactly. With Obvious Frozen Dinners, there's no need to cry into a pile of exotic ingredients you don't even recognize. These meals come with everything you need, including the unmistakable taste of I gave up.
And forget about choosing 30 different gourmet options. With Obvious Frozen Dinners, you get classics like spongy steak, damp dinosaur nuggets. Each meal is a culinary adventure your taste buds will want to pass on, knowing your colon can't.
Plus, they're so easy to prepare. Even our non-existent girlfriends could do it. Just peel back the plastic, pop it in the microwave, watch it slowly rotate in an endless cycle that seems like an apt metaphor for repeatedly finding yourself at rock bottom. And boom! Gourmet dining without the shame of dining out alone. Right, John?
Unconfirmed, Brian.
So why spend your hard-earned money and precious time pretending you have a social life when you can embrace the sweet, sweet solitude of Obvious Frozen Dinners? They're perfect for those nights when you realize even your zest for life has become just as watered down as your never fully unfrozen entree.
Obvious Frozen Dinners, because when you're making a meal out of your lonesome fate, it's just not complete without a side of microwave misery.
Available in the frozen dinner aisle of your nearest supermarket. If you can't find them, well, that's just one more thing you failed at.
But I guess the point I was originally making, though, is if you've got, whether you won it by lottery or however you came across it, if you're going to somewhere like some firm or something that's used to dealing with, let's say a guy who they deal with a lot of people in the entertainment industry and businessmen and stuff, they're not really going to be blown away by your level of wealth the way just some local CPA would be, because that's their business, is dealing with wealthy clients. And so you're just another client. You know what I mean?
For sure. And that is
easier said than done. But yeah.
I was say, easier said than done. And probably is still, even though it's the scary, you still hear these scary, horrific outcomes happening. That is kind of the way to go. You got to, unless you were in the know, but if you're ignorant about that stuff, you kind of got to just go with people you trust. I mean, but then you still see these scenarios where people get fucked over. I mean, there's that whole Podcast One debacle where there's God knows how many podcasts that were getting their ad revenue sent to them for doing sponsored ad reads through the company Podcast One, and they had their business model. It was kind of similar to I don't know if you could say it's similar to a Ponzi scheme, but it was not built to last. They had these incentives to get creators on board of we'll pay you a minimum, even if the ad reads don't perform as well, whatever, you still make this minimum regardless. But that was the incentive to get more creators on board. But then eventually they're paying out these premiums, these minimums, everybody, and then the business model will not sustain because you're giving them profits that don't exist. So eventually you're going to run out of money. And I think Theo Von had lost I think he said about $500,000 or something like that.
Goodness.
And, and then there's some that are even higher than that. And yeah, so it's and that was kind of based off the same relationship, or of a lot of those guys were well, who's the guy? Who do you use? And then it just trickled down from there. And I've
talked about this with a guy at work, and it's part of just the sad reality of starting a business of any kind. Now, granted, $500,000 is a lot to lose. Don't get me wrong, but it's you're gonna get scammed. You're gonna get taken advantage of. I mean, that's kind of the nature of starting a business, and I mean, you'll learn from it.
But
It's an
there's,
expensive lesson.
yeah, now I can definitely sympathize with them. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he also still has his podcast. He still has his platform. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah, he's doing well. He's doing well
yeah.
for sure. Guy's doing movies now.
I mean,
He.
that's a lot of money to a guy like him too. I don't want to say it's not.
Oh, I'm
but
sure,
At the same
yeah.
time, like he's in a completely different tax bracket than we are. We think of that and we're like, oh my god, he's just destitute. Like,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it's
not,
like
yeah.
okay, it's
Still a lot of money, but it's also not. It's
not like
it's
the
a lot
end
of
of the
money
world.
that he made quickly. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not his life. He's not a man on his deathbed who had his life savings just drained.
Yeah, it's not like his life's
That's it.
pension is gone. Like,
Yeah. He was able to bounce back pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's hopefully we'll be able to do when we start raking in the mills and
Dude, that would be sweet.
God, fingers crossed, some a-hole is going to come around and take advantage of us, and what a ride it's going to be, I tell you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
That's why I
have
say,
a lot of white suits.
Start learning
that I'll have to
about
sell.
finance and money now. I'm far from a guru, but I feel like I've learned a little bit in the last few years.
I see. What would you say you are a guru in then, if not a finance?
I don't know if I'm a guru really in anything. I've wasted most of my life being a jack of all trades, master of none, which is just a nice way of saying you suck at everything.
Hey man, same here. Right
Yeah.
here. Jack to Jack. I see you.
Yeah.
Jack to Jack.
And I think
I
that's
see
why
you,
I went wrong when I went back to school to finish my degree. Instead of just focusing on one thing and deciding that's what I was going to do and being like either doing like game design or animation, I kept like going back and forth, doing a little of both. I had this whole jack of all trades idea in my head. And basically all that happened was I ended up getting really burned out and not being good at anything and just doing whatever I could do to finish at a certain point. And it's like you came out on the other side like, wow, now I suck at everything. So I don't have like anything decent that I can show like employers and like portfolio wise.
I'm cutting you off right there. That's horseshit, buddy. As much as I give you shit and constant grief about being, utterly and exceptionally lazy at times, you're still talented at what you do, man. You're still a good sound engineer.
Well, with sound stuff, I'm okay, but that seems to be very hard to get into. I can't hardly find anything.
Yeah, well, that's why I was, happy I could help you in that regard. Because I knew that you needed this for your resume. So it's like, hey, John, I'll let you.
Yeah, that's it.
Do the yeah. It took some convincing on your part, but eventually I had to succumb.
Sure.
Dude, it's been a hell of a week. I meant to talk about this last time, but then I drifted off and talking about the horrors of yesteryear and living at my sober living, joy and all that. But I've been working on getting prepped to do an audition for the Actors Studio Playhouse West out here.
Oh, cool.
And it's going to be a while from now. But John, if you recall, Jesus Christ, this is over a decade ago now. But when me, you, and Chris lived together, I went to New York and auditioned to get in the master's program at Pace University.
Kinda now, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, me and Joel went up there and performed a scene.
Yeah.
This is their MFA program is affiliated with the Actors Studio, but it's not. This is a different version. This is not like an MFA program or anything like that. It's basically like a clubhouse where professional actors, if they're granted access, get to use the clubhouse like for if they need it like an audition space or basically like the workshops. Everything's free, which is
that's awesome.
yeah. But it's also let's not kid ourselves here. This is a Hail Mary pass. This is like Pacino came out of the actor's studio. Jeff Goldblum came out of the actors. Like huge names came out of there. So they don't just let anybody in.
Yeah.
But I've just been thinking lately, about like how I've just been missing like the craft, if I want to sound like the ultimate douche, of acting. Like I thought I was getting my sustenance from doing all these commercial and voiceover characters, auditioning. But for me in particular, because I don't, I have a booking rate of 0.0000001%. I don't get too much feedback usually on those, but it is still good practice to do it, right? But it's not like I get to, sink my teeth into a really interesting and conflicted character and work on it for a while. Yeah, easy, Bell, easy. I didn't realize you were so allergic to me talking shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that I wish would be popularized, not just in the world of auditions, but everywhere. I wish people would be a little bit more vocal about why they chose not to go with you. Because even for regular, like, job applications, you just get an email saying, nope, we've decided not to go any further or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, any feedback to help me improve for next time, or a credential I didn't have, maybe it behooved me to get,
I can't speak to your version of that, of doing like regular day job stuff, because honestly, I'm so self-absorbed that I'm more concerned with the acting stuff, like, but like, it would be cool to know that. But if I'm being truly honest, at the end of the day, it really wouldn't make a difference for me. Like, I'm still going to do it, If I said that, like, and I've actually heard about this.
Yeah, but wouldn't that like help you improve? If, like,
I mean, but it's also where the acting classes come in, right? But I just can't afford them out here because they are expensive as fuck. And I have a very limited schedule on my hands, and am subjected to the job that I have to work. And for me to try to change that to get a more higher paying one would be such a headache that I think I might have an aneurysm. So I'm kind of, for the time being, stuck working that, and I can't really, I'm living paycheck to paycheck for the most part.
Yeah.
So I can't afford an acting class. But this one, again, this is the Hail Mary pass. It's more like I was telling Joel about this, because he's actually going to, he's dusting off his old wrestling suit, and we're getting the tag team back together to do a scene for the Playhouse West out here, which I'm also super grateful that he's helping me with that. When I did it in, what was that, 2012, 2013? Me and Joel worked really hard on that scene, like, but also I didn't really I just chose a scene that I thought would be interesting, and I didn't really take any notes as far as I didn't realize how important it was for theaters to for you to cast yourself as the correct age, appropriate age, and character type. I guess because I minored in theater in college, and of course, what, I was 22 when I graduated, so every scene I did in college, like, no one's playing their age in college. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you only have 18 to 22-year-olds. There's very few plays, especially if we're going to go back as far as Shakespeare and, do the period piece and stuff like that. No one can play their age. You know what I mean? So I guess it was coming from that mindset. And I had just finally seen Glengarry Glen Ross, which God knows how many times the people evaluating me had seen that fucking play. It's like one of the most popular plays ever, popular movie. And I did Jack Lemmon's part. Me at 23, who probably looked like a 17-year-old doing, a guy who was supposed to be like the age of a retired senior citizen, just, trying to scrape by and get a buck. So, like in that scenario, I kind of thought like, damn, like I should have really took note in that regard. I should have, this time I want to be able to, even if I don't get in, I want to be able to say like, I did everything I could. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I took.
So what kind of
notes
scene
from
do you think you would
everybody.
pick? I mean, you don't have to commit to one now, but like,
Well, I've been looking at it. I actually read. I read 4 different plays this week. There's one that I really liked, but unfortunately, the guidelines for the audition has to be limited to a 2-person scene only. You can't have a third person in, or you can't ignore that if there's a third person in that section of the script that you perform. You can't like just cut their lines out. So it has to be limited to that. And yeah, Joel showed me this play that yeah, it's fucking really good play, man. And of course now the name's escaping me, but anyways, I couldn't really find a scene that was that had like had as much color as the ones that had more than 2 people in it. And so I read that. I read True West. True West is a good play. It's a Sam Shepard. However, I don't really. Again, I want to make sure that I'm not making any excuses or whatever like for like my casting. I don't want people to have to stretch their imagination to see me in this role.
yeah.
Like, and so it's 2 brothers are the leads in True West. I could possibly get away with playing the younger one, but like Joel is roughly the same age as me, and like the other brother is supposed to be early 40s, and it's like, all right, let's just not even, it's a good play, but like I'm not if it's iffy for either of us to play either of those roles, like
Yeah, don't risk it.
yeah, exactly. So, and there was another one that's what is it called? It's something with rain, Steady Rain or something like that. It's a play that was produced out of Chicago, and it's pretty good. I mean, Joel would definitely fit the age range of the characters. It's the story about 2 Chicago beat cops, and one of them's dirty, and I'd like to play him, but unfortunately, I feel like the way that it's an odd play. Like the story is awesome, but the way that they present it, it's all very presentational to the audience, and it's like the 2 leads are taking turns telling the stories, and they don't always like match up or whatever, but which is interesting, but it's like, okay, again, I'm not trying to show them an avant-garde piece here. I'm trying to show them that I see the guidelines, I see the stipulations, and I could follow the rules and deliver a damn good scene. So that left me to the last one, which is a play that is just like it's a series of scenes about these guys that are like early 30s, and having to accept that they they got to grow up, and be adults and things like and so there's 2 scenes that I've selected out of there for me and Joel to do. It's the right age range, and it's got there's a lot of color in it. You know what I mean? It's a lot of there's some reveals in the scene. And it's got to be under 5 minutes too. So it's like you got to find the trick is you got to find a starting point that works. That makes sense, and then wrap it up before it gets to 5 minutes. Because also another stipulation is that they'll cut you off if it's reaches 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be in the middle of like a huge, powerful like reveal, and then they're like, all right, that's it.
Yeah, and they cut you off before you get to the climax or whatever.
Yeah, so I have 2 different choices for Joel there, and like I'm actually, well, I mean, I'll talk it over with him. There's one scene like that I feel like is better. Like one character has a what am I trying to say? Like if one character has more to do in another scene, than this other scene that I chose. That it's kind of like they both have interesting reveals in this other scene, but also like you just need to talk to him because I can also, again, it's all free. It's just you get a matter of if you make it through, so depends on how interested he is in auditioning with me. I mean, if he wants to do it, hell yeah. I mean, he's helping me out. He can by all means I'll, submit his name as well. But if he's not really that interested in, I'll be like, hey, let's do this other scene where it's, I get more of the juicy bits. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways, I'm excited about it, man. It's going to be a lot of work, and as of right now, as of this recording, we're still a couple months away from even being able to submit. So I'm gonna make sure, again, not so much like the determination of I have to make it in this program. This is the last time I'm going to try to do something like this, where I'm auditioning to get into a program.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that I do it exceptional, like where I leave no room for error in my head of like, could I have done that better? So that's what I've been working on lately. And then obviously work, community service, doing a bunch of auditions for Crunchyroll that I recorded the other day that I still have to edit. And I did an on-camera audition for my agent, and then I don't know, probably like 5 voiceover auditions for my manager. So yeah, busy week, my man.
Well, I'm excited to see how that turns out.
And you found a taco place.
Yeah.
That's been your week.
Well, that was today. Yeah, that was just one day.
Man, wild.
Well, I've been wanting to try it for a while, but I just kept going to the same old places, which are good, but I was like, I hadn't really tried them all. But I kept kind of talking myself out of it because, the menu is mostly all in Spanish, which is a sign of quality. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to have trouble ordering. But I finally was like, you know what, screw it. I went, and it went pretty smoothly, and I didn't regret it. It was good.
It's a riveting story, Johnny.
I don't think I got the rice and beans I ordered, but that's probably not a reflection of the establishment. That was probably just bad luck. Mistakes happen.
Sometimes, yeah, exactly. And then sometimes, as you said, like if there's a language barrier, you just gotta figure out the right way to word it,
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't figure that out until the 3rd or 4th time. But hey, that's an excuse to go back.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, we'll see what tomorrow holds because I'm off tomorrow too. So I eat a lot of tacos. That's one of the joys of being in a border state is, I'm sure, you still get that too. I've heard California Mexican food is different. I know it can vary. Like obviously Texas has Tex-Mex, and then in like New Mexico and Arizona, you get what they call the Southwest style. I don't know if California is more Southwest style or if it's kind of a style all its own.
I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Like I've only really, I can't say a true judgment on it because I've only ate like 3 places. You know what I mean? And like the one that I was telling you about that I can't handle their salsa is it's fucking awesome, but it's not like a sit down restaurant. It's almost like it's more of like a when I say hole in the wall, I actually mean it as a compliment. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, like it's more authentic. It's like a more authentic Pollo Loco.
Dude, I agree. Dude, hole in the wall places are always the best. The places that are like a one off. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, inside of a gas station, honestly, if you're like at very first glance, if you're kind of like, I don't know, that means it's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you just put the idea in it, just tell yourself what I tell myself. Hey, if it's good enough for the health inspector, it's good enough for me. And just go in there. Like, yeah.
It's the motto you live by for a number of years.
Yeah. It's good enough for the health inspector. It's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they have them in the back freezer.
Yeah, exactly. They've got the F that they like change to a B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Dude, they rate those out here constantly too, man. Like I see like the ratings change consistently at all the locations for the company I work for, because they nobody gets a pass. Even a coffee shop is getting those types of ratings.
I don't think
it's actually not. I guess it's not health inspector. It's something different out here. I mean, they have health inspector stuff, but that's like the different kind of rating out here.
Yeah, I've never actually seen a rating at a place here. Obviously, they've got whatever it is, the health inspector, whatever they need, and places. But I don't know. It might be more pass fail. Like
Maybe.
the
I don't know. I
pastor
bet
you
you if you
didn't.
paid more attention, like look behind the counter, they'll probably have a cert, like some kind of like.
Well, I've
rating
seen that where it's
yeah.
like certification, but I've never seen with like an A, a B.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just too used to seeing them out here now. It's fogging my memory of thinking I saw them in Texas. But that's definitely how they do them out here. It's like literally like by the front door. You're just like, God damn,
I guess there is, huh? The score for each establishment represents a grading scale of 100 to 90 is considered A, 89 to 80 is B. So I guess there is. Huh.
Yeah, I thought so.
I guess
But
I've
maybe
never
that's
really
just-
looked that closely. I'll have to start paying more attention.
Yeah, you know what? I'm probably I just notice them just secondhand nature, just because obviously I worked in restaurants for a solid decade, so I just kind of you can just instinctively know where it would be,
Yeah.
and and just you can't unsee it, I guess, once you see it.
Well, that's all I'm going to say, though, is if it's good enough for the health inspector, it's good enough for me before I dive down that rabbit hole.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we're obviously two distinctly, health nuts.
Yeah.
Me with my constant drip of sodas into my IV, and you with your underhand deal with the health inspector. Oh wait, I wasn't supposed to say that on air. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Careful. Don't blow the deal.
I don't think he was listening.
Good. We'll
He was,
edit that part
probably in
out.
somebody's walk-in freezer.
Yeah. Hopefully that's not where the taco meat's coming from. Wouldn't that be wild? Be like, Soylent
Yes.
Green is people.
He's the health inspector. He give it a grade A, and they do like a maniacal chuckle afterward. Yeah.
Dude, you see that now? There's a brand of some like drink or supplement, food called Soylent. And I can't help
the
but think
fuck
that
is
every
that?
time I see it on the shelf, it's like a meal replacement shake. And I was like, dude, who thought of that? Yeah, Soylent. And I'm like, please tell me there's not a green variety.
It's just not. Yeah, that is not an appetizing term for any type of edible substance.
Yeah, it says it's
Yeah.
a set of meal replacement products in powder, shake, and bar forms. Produced by
Oh.
Soylent Nutrition. Soylent Green is people.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like pissed on dirt is what it sounds like. Soylent?
Uh-huh.
Does that not sound like wet dirt that's,
I guess so. I hear soil in there.
All right, way to yes hand me, Johnny.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to be honest, Brian. So, I try to see where you're coming from and give response.
Yeah, that really helps just drive the comedy in this podcast.
Thank you.
No doubt.
Thank you. I do
Yeah.
what I can.
Yeah. You do your part for sure.
Yeah, I do.
Which
And
is,
it's about honesty and integrity.
Just clotheslining me every time I try to do a bit.
Yeah.
Metaphorically. But yeah, bud. Anything else you want to add? Any other bits you want to shut down before we sign off?
No, nothing. I just shut them down as I see them. I don't have
No
like,
shit.
planned ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're gonna be doing this all the way into hell and back. So, strap in, folks. This has been another episode of the Big Boys Podcast. We will see you next week. Adios. Well, what did we learn in today's episode? Dating. It's complicated. Just like the movie, it's complicated. Or like the other movie, The Da Vinci Code. I have yet to stumble upon a codic ingrained in modern art or otherwise, that deciphers, how to get a perfect partner, within 10 dates or whatever the rom-com story that would inevitably use a Da Vinci Code device as the story device for the plot of that movie I just made up right here and now. Has yet to be done, so I am still clueless in that regard. And, well, John, the fella doesn't even want to, take a metaphorical swing at the ball with the relationship bet. Taxes. Pretty ignorant on that as well. Didn't really learn much about that other than old Wesley Snipes served some time. That's a bummer, man. My condolences, Mr. Snipes. Although I hear he's having a bit of a resurgence now that he came back as Blade in that new Deadpool movie, which I have yet to see, but thanks to everyone ruining it for me on the internet, I now know that. So thank you, internet. Much obliged. I'm giving you the gift of ignorance, and you're giving me the gift of telling me the plot and all the spoilers of the movies I want to see before I get a chance to see them. What else to be learned in today's episode? Probably not much. I can't think of the other topics at this juncture right now. Other than, thank God I don't have any money at this moment, because I wouldn't know what to do with it if I did. Investing seems hard, and trusting someone to do right with your money without fucking oneself over is, well, that's a big step in the trust department, and, yeah. In some cases, I do and don't envy a person being in that situation. A lot of things going on right now. This month, as I've mentioned before, still working hard at, getting that scene prepared for the Actors Studio. They have opened up auditions for the New York home base, but have yet to do so in Los Angeles. But don't you worry, your boy's got his trigger finger ready. I got an alarm set for every day that I wake up to double check that website, so I can root and toot and fire an application their way and get that scene going in another 4 to 6 weeks after said application. So I'm gonna have that scene down, front and back, side to side, and panoramic. I tell you, I'm gonna have no qualms about whether or not I worked hard enough on it. And that alone is something I guess I'm gonna be proud of. And in closing, as always, I'd like to say, Como se llama hermana? Lo siento, Pelipinto. Good night, all my North Texans. And sweetest of dreams, my fellow Angelinos. And to everyone else in between, don't you know what I mean? Have yourself a good day. Good night. Sleep tight. Or loose. Or in between. You don't have to, not everything has to be binary. Be fluid with your sleep. For this has been another episode of The Big Boys Podcast.
Big Boys is a podcast produced by Not So Funny or Proud Productions. The team consists of co-hosts, co-producers, and co-editors Brian Hickey and John Sorrells, better known as John the Great. For more information about the duo or this show, please visit us at bigboyspodspot.com. Or feel free to take a gander at our production page, notsofunnyorproud.com. Look us up on social media and follow us at Big Boys Podspot. New episodes drop every Thursday on every popular podcast hosting platform known to man. So please be sure to like, subscribe, vibe, describe, contrive, confide, collide, abide, preside, tell your tribe, and most importantly, do prescribe. Me and Elixir for talking out the side of my neck.